Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another video. If you are new to my channel, my name is Jamie and I'm always messing around with old Volkswagens, and I have an old Land Rover. So today I am supposed to be taking my 64 Beetle to storage. I've done some previous videos on this engine build, and this engine will finally find its way into my Carman Gear project. I put it in this car to do some testing on it because it's freshly built. And I've discovered I have a bit of a problem. When I start the car from cold, it starts fine, so with the choke on, etc. And when the car is warmed up, I've had a few issues with it starting. It will turn over and eventually fire up if I have my foot flat on the accelerator, and it chugs away for a bit until it starts running fine. And I have also smelt fuel. So on investigation yesterday, I found out that the float bowl is emptying just down the throat of the carb when you turn the ignition off, which is not good. And it's also finding its way into the sump, so it's mixing with the oil. So my oil level is super high because obviously the fuel is mixing with it. Now, I'll add a little video now showing the float bowl actually emptying as soon as I turn the key off. So I do actually have another carb that I'm going to put on here for now. I'm going to take this off, put it on the table and try and figure out what the problem is. Okay, so I just removed the carb from the engine, and with this squeegee bottle, if I get some fuel, suck it up, and you can feel the float bowl through this hole here. This goes directly into the float bowl. So this might be hard to see. Like so. Okay, with the choke open, you can clearly see, well maybe, yeah, you can clearly see that it just runs straight out down the throat, and this will go into the engine, soak through and end up in your sump, mixing with your oil, which is not good. So, okay, just talking with my friend Yanni, who knows a lot more than I do. He basically said that if I make a mark 19 to 20 millimeters from the top of here with a caliper, and then fill up the float bowl to that level and then see where the float lies, then it doesn't overfill. So this indicates that it's not a problem with the carb, but when I turn the engine off, fuel is still feeding into the float bowl, and this is causing, because it pushes the level up higher, gravity will push it through the tube and leak out here, and it will just drain it till it's empty. So every time I'm turning my engine off, fuel is getting into here and filling it above the float level and causing the problem. This indicates that it probably is the fuel pump put in too much pressure, and even when you turn the engine off, it still pumps some fuel into the float bowl, and then it causes it to overflow. Do you think? Okay, so the next thing I have measured is the top surface of this half of the carb to the top here of where the float makes contact with the valve, and from the top to the float is 6 millimeters. And then I also measured when the valve is at its closed position to the top of the case, and that's 7.5. So obviously the float, when it comes up, it needs some pressure to push against the valve to close it. Now I could add another washer here to push this further out, which means that there would be more pressure to close it, but I might go and have a look to see if I have an original one, because this is one from the kit, And I have blown through here and then put my finger on here, and it does seem to stop. It does seem to work, but I'm skeptical. I've just taken the top off of the other carb that I have, and this actually has an original Solex valve on there. So I might swap that for this Repro one and see if that makes a difference. It's for sure that the carb is emptying, the float bowl is emptying, so that would indicate that it's overfilling somehow. After checking both of these carbs out and making measurements, the measurements were pretty much the same, the float height settings, etc., on the other one that I brought in that I was going to change it with. So, and also I blew, when I got everything back together again, I blew into the inlet where the fuel inlet is with the fuel topped up, so the float pushing the valve closed, and there was no way I could blow into that. So that doesn't seem to be the issue with the carb, I think now, which I initially thought. So I have to investigate further. I'm thinking if the fuel pump is at too high a pressure and it's pushing too much pressure in, it has to be pretty high pressure, because I couldn't blow anything into there, but obviously fuel is getting in somehow. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add gaskets to the fuel pump and just try to eliminate one problem, or one theory to the problem. One theory is that if the fuel pump is too high pressure, when you turn your engine off, there's still pressure in the pipes, and that's pushing fuel into the float bowl and causing the problem. The other thing I was thinking is that I have one of these King filters up the top here, and because that is actually up quite high, maybe that's causing like pressure to pump it through, but I don't think it's probably that cause. It's probably, I think, I don't know, there could be the fuel pump. I completely rebuilt the fuel pump. I have heard that you can, because there's a rod that comes off of your cam that makes the fuel pump pump, you can add gaskets here, and that basically gives less pressure onto the diaphragm when it's pumping. Or you can also grind a little bit off of that rod. Okay, I'm in a little bit of a hurry because I need to get this to my friends to put it in storage. So what I've done is I've thrown the car back on because I don't think that the problem is actually there. I actually took the fuel pump off, and the gaskets were soaking wet with fuel. That would indicate that the fuel pump could be, the diaphragm could be split and leaking fuel into the engine that way. But I'm not sure if it's actually from fuel, so much fuel being inside the sump and splashing. I don't know. I've changed the gaskets, and I actually took a little bit off the length of the rod that pumps. What I should do if I had time is I have this King filter here, but I actually have it plumbed up wrong if I would like to use it for a pressure regulator, because basically I've got the fuel line coming in and then it goes directly into the pump, but it should lay between here after the pump to regulate the pressure to go into the carb, but I've run out of time, so ideally I would have liked to have done that rather than shave a little bit off the rod there. But I'm going to see, I mean, look at the oil, it's like water. Well, it's like fuel because there's so much fuel in there. So I'm going to put some fresh oil in there, start it up and get it on the trailer. But I would really like your comments and opinions, or any advice to indicate what the problem could be, if I'm missing something or if I'm on the right tracks. But this car's going to go in storage until the spring. So please give me some comments and point me in the right direction. Thanks again for watching. Please like and subscribe if you like what you're watching. And yeah, I don't know everything. I know some things, but I need your advice. Okay, cheers, till next time. Okay, so a little update to the end of the video. I've just got it on the trailer, as you can see, and I got the engine up to temperature and I reset the carb just to make sure, because I'd messed about with it when the carb was on the table. I put a light down I took the air cleaner off and had a look down, and it doesn't seem to be leaking back into the carb. So maybe it's the problem solved, but I'm in a little bit of a rush because I need to get this to the storage. But yeah, please leave me a comment. I'm hoping that it might be fixed, but I won't find out until the spring comes, because as you can probably see, we've had a little bit of snow over the last couple of days, quite early, but it is just into November, so as expected. Okay, cheers.